Hey everyone, my name is JP and this is my journey with miniatures. I started in 2024 around September when Space Marine 2 came out, and I picked up this box of Rift Forged orks from Kings of War. The reason being is I didn't want to pick up any Warhammer miniatures because they're more expensive and I didn't want to quote unquote ruin them. So I picked these guys up first as practice. I really liked how they kind of turned out. I learned a lot along the way. You can see I learned about basing, and my favorite ones are these guys with the fire hammers and this one with the lava base. But yeah, this was my kickstart into the journey. It took me about 4 hours per miniature at the time, which is insane because they're so small, and now I can do a lot more in 4 hours. But yeah, this is where I started. After I finished the Rift Forged orks, I picked up the 40k starter set because I had Space Marines and Tyranids, just like the video game. For the Space Marine, I followed an NMM tutorial. It took me about 10 hours just to finish that. Then I found a coconut crab scheme video online and a Heretics for Heresy Synthwave Tyranid. I remember when I painted these, I felt so good because they're much larger than the orcs I painted previously. And they actually had a very defined sculpt. The next box I got was these Vespids from the Hivestorm Kill Team box, because after I bought the starter set, I realized, hey, I can't actually play a game with them because it was missing a couple of miniatures to play Combat Patrol, and I didn't know that. So I learned that Kill Team, you can just buy a squad. And then the new launch box just started, and it had terrain in it as well, so I was like, yeah, why not? I'll pick this up. And when I painted these Vespids, I had no idea what Tau was or anything about the lore. I just knew I could play with them. And then I went to a tournament later on that month in October now, and I went 0-3, but I met some great people, had a great time. And I love painting all these Vespids in multiple different colors, painting the gradients on the wings. The second part of the High Storm box was these Tempestus Aquilons. I didn't know they were like drop troopers really, or I only knew Space Marines at the time. Here I painted them all different colors. The one guy who's like a synth wavy, he's all black, but he has a lot of fluorescent colors. I just wanted to try every single fluorescent color I had on him. I had the leader with the power sword. At this time, I really want to try hard on the faces too. But I had to stop, redo, strip, and repaint some of the faces, and I never actually ended up very happy with them. But I gave it a go, and I guess that's all that matters. But I learned I did really like and painting in like olive green. I think it worked really well for these guys. And then there's a blue one in here as well that I really like. And then there's a green guy as well as the turret. I painted them with the metallic, and then I kind of went over it again with that green ink to give a shiny metallic look. And yeah, now that new Vallejo True Metallic medals are out, I can do that. But this was my attempt at doing a color metallic a year ago. Here I have the Plague Marine kill team from the starter set with Angels of Death. These guys have so many details on it. I painted the first warrior up in the traditional GW scheme, but then I realized it wasn't colorful enough. And I went with this more bright and vibrant green that you see on almost everyone else, except for the Plague Spear. The Plague Spear I had to redo because I tried to copy another artist's style, but I could not do it. It was Richard Gray. And it was not turning out the same way. So then I repainted it, and I just never got back to it. But maybe I will to see how far I've come with the same style and the same colors. But yeah, I played a tournament with these guys as well, and I got second place, and I won best painted uh, with the 6 Plague Marines that I did paint up. And yeah, I fell in love with Death Guard. I didn't think I would because I always thought they were disgusting, but when I painted them this bright green and super colorful with all the cool like little Nurglians, I ended up falling in love with Nurgle. I painted each of these Angels of Death, the other half of the Kill Team starter set, a different color, which is a different chapter. Um, I gave it a shot with the faces again. I think they turned out a bit better than the Tempestus Aquilons because their faces are a bit bigger. But I remember looking when I did these, I thought they looked amazing. I thought they looked great. But now looking back a year later, I can see so much room for improvement with the shading, the volume, the lighting, the cleanliness of the brush strokes. Um, but yeah, it's nice to see my first take on doing Space Marines without doing like non-metallic metal and taking years, taking 10 hours to do it. Next up is my main army for Age of Sigmar and how I started, which is the Ironjawz Spearhead. And then I also found a Battle Force after Christmas. So I picked these box up in January, but I didn't get to start painting them until March. I couldn't figure out a color scheme, of course. You'll see I've painted some red, I've painted some yellow and black. I think I really nailed down my scheme for yellow and the weathering look on it as well. I think I initially didn't like these models, but I painted so many of them now. I have like 40 um, art boys. I'm kind of done with them. I remember I started rushing towards the end. I did all their blades. Every single weapon has like these like lines, like 3 levels of lines. I didn't want to make it look icy, but they just ended up doing that because of the colors I picked. I want it to look more like steel, but I'm happy with how the weapons turned out as well. And there's so many lines to like draw on the armor to make it look battered and beaten. But I'm glad I don't have to paint any more art boys. Some of my favorite models in the Ironjawz range are these regular brutes. Their rules are so much fun when you give them crit mortals. They just slap so hard, especially with the gore chop. But like, I always feel super powerful when I play with them. It sucks hitting on fours, but I really enjoy playing with these units. I really enjoy painting them as well. I tried to keep their arms bare. I realized afterwards that I like having their muscles show on the sides because it makes them look more intimidating. But I absolutely love brutes. They're some of my favorite models in the whole Ironjawz range. I think these models, which are the Brute Ragers, is where I leveled up. I took the photos, I primed the models in black, and then I took photos to see where the light would hit on their skin. And I think it really shows. I remember when I first took these to the store, everyone was just like, wow, they really pop off the table and they look really intimidating from far away because there's so much volume, their muscles are so defined. It really helped me learn. I was so proud of this model. This is definitely a level up moment for myself. And then this is my Mega Boss, where I did a really cool transfer on his knee and on his back. It has a skull. I copied this, I think, from Squidmar with the color and as well, the color and the whole look of the armor, who he originally copied from David Soper. I think this was another level up moment for me, especially on the little blue or glazing in blue on his armor. But I was super proud and happy with my Mega Boss because he definitely felt like a leader, especially with his base. After painting up the Ironjawz Spearhead, I wanted to paint something other than orcs, and something I could do relatively quickly and I didn't want to put too much effort into, and that was the Skaven, these 20 clan rats that I got in the Skaven Tide box. I got some speed paint sets as well, so I started experimenting with those, and what I learned is I need to dry brush them a little bit lighter because they kind of turned out a little dull. I did also try streak and grime for the first time, so that also makes it dull, but it was a nice palette cleanser after doing a bunch of orcs. Continuing on with the palette cleanser, I wanted to paint some metallics. So I got the Stormcast Liberators from also the Skaven Tide box and I painted them all different colors just to figure out what kind of scheme I like or even just how the metallics work now because the last time I painted a lot of metallic was when I did the Riftforged Orcs. So it's nice to see how these turned out. And I did all of these in about 4 hours total now, which is a lot faster than I was before. Here is the Wreka crew for 40k kill team. I was really happy and proud of these guys' faces and all the armor, and I went crazy with the transfers on these guys. But I think their faces turned out amazing. I painted them up in like a week for a tournament, but ended up no one showed up to that tournament. It was just me and one other guy. So we just played a couple of games of Kill Team and had a great time. But I think these models are super fun, and I'm excited to paint some 40k orcs some more, and maybe in the 11th edition box it's more orcs. After all those palette cleansers, I was ready to kind of sink my teeth into a bigger project and something I want to spend more time on, which is this Lord Terminus with a 3D printed head. This guy, I think, is my best mini even to date. I followed a tutorial for non-metallic metal, gold, and OSL as well, which is my favorite part, the glowing axe from underneath with the lighting. I love this model. I think it's so epic, and I still look at it. It's in my display cabinet, and every time I walk by, I love to look at it. I had my first Age of Sigmar 2K tournament coming up in August of 2025, so I needed to paint up some more orcs, so I revisited my Age of Sigmar Ironjawz army and painted up these weird brute wreckers with some weird skin, and I really love the skin tone and color, and it just makes me want to paint like Flesh Eater Court or something with this really pale, colorful skin. Again, these models are bangers, and always excited to paint more of them. Continuing to paint for the Ironjawz 2K tournament, I painted Zogrok with half his skin burnt off, this weird knob with the weird skin, a Ward Chanter, and an Ardboy Big Boss. So these are all the heroes that I painted up. This is probably be around June, May, June, and a bit into July. And then we have the big chunky boy, the big pig. This guy was really annoying for me to build. He was the biggest model I've ever painted. It took me many days to paint, and I'm not used to taking that long to paint a model, so it kind of burnt me out a bit of painting, but I had to power through because I had this yellow big pig, and then I also have this red big pig that I painted right after because these were the last couple of models I needed before my tournament in August. But after that, I had to take a break from painting. So after not painting for August and September, or for most of September, towards the end of it, I painted up these three Jade Veritints, and I think this is going to be my Stormcast army color going forward. But I think these models are all super cool, and oh, here's another Jade Liberator as well. I didn't really complete these models, but I just wanted to put some paint on something because it was so long since I painted something. Next up, I have these rat ogres. I wanted to paint more human-y or more regular skin colors instead of orc skin, and I think these guys turned out great. Lots of glazing, lots of blending, and then I also really like how the red armor turned out on the tabletop. They really pop, and this guy's warts look really, or bulbuses look really disgusting. So really happy with how these rat ogres turned out as well. For Orktober, I knew I had to paint some orcs. The build on these guys was really annoying for the Kommandos because they're just all over the sprues. Like the numbers didn't really make sense. So it took me like 3 nights to build them. But I think the models look awesome, and it's really nice for me to look at these guys, and especially their faces and their skin. And even from the orcs I did back in April for the Wreka crew, and now in October, in just those few months, I think I leveled up again doing orc skin, but I have yet to play a game with these guys. Here I have some Hormagaunts from the Tyranid Typhon Kill Team box. It took me so long to figure out what kind of color scheme I wanted to use. On the carapace, it's like 3 different colors with dots, and on each Hormagaunt, it took like 15 minutes. But I'm really happy with how the color turned out, but I know if I ever did a full Tyranid army, it would take me forever because painting these 10 took me forever. But I'm thinking or hoping that most of it was just trying to figure out the color scheme. If I could go back, I think I would paint the claws and all the red and like a red metallic, but maybe I'll do that in the future. Here I'm switching it up and painting some prosecutors. I forgot to paint their weapons, the glowing flames, but I think the wings turned out great. The armor, maybe not so much, but I just had them in my cabinet and they just take up so much area because their wingspan. So now I'm happy to, when I look back in my cabinet, that I can see some glowing wings. Here are the orc manifestations and terrain for my Age of Sigmar Ironjawz army. All of these were completely airbrushed. A little bit of brush painting here and there, but I had these sitting as gray for a while. I even played in that 2K tournament as gray because I borrowed them from a friend. But now I've finally painted them up, and I'm happy with how they look. I could always go back and do more detail work, but it was just me powering through, trying to paint as much as I can with the time I had. Here's a Ravener from the kill team. I have all 5 painted up now, but at the time of recording it, I only had the 1. But I think the Ravener kill team looks super cool. They have interesting rules as well. I think I struggled with the blue skin on these guys and the red claws as well, since I kind of tested out the scheme on the Harmagants, but still happy with how it came out. And for the final mini of this video, it's a Death Watch from Tomb World. He's a salamander with a heavy gun. Really happy with how his face turned out and the OSL, especially his shoulder pad, but it's a great way to end off the year. In total, starting from the beginning, I painted 279 miniatures. Not perfect, not fast, not always consistent. Some I'm more proud of than others. Sometimes I was genuinely scared to put paint on a model because I didn't want to ruin it, but I had to remind myself, it's just paint. I got into this hobby because I wanted to decompress from work, to step away from screens and actually enjoy making something with my hands. It's supposed to be fun, not a chore, not stressful. Yeah, I made mistakes, but I learned it's okay to accept them and move on to the next model. Trying to be perfect on every single miniature only stops me from learning and experimenting, and honestly, that's the fun part. If I keep trying my best and don't obsess over every flaw, then that's enough. I can always come back and fix things later if I want to, but finishing an entire unit, an army, and playing with it, that will always be the highlight, because you get to share it with your friends. I'm far from the best painter, but I know I'm so much better from my first miniature to where I am today. Subscribe and like the video if you want to hear the most useful painting advice I can give that got me from where I was a year ago to where I am today. Thanks everybody, signing out.